how to make your first $1 million. How to make your first $1 million. This can be done both online and offline, one or the other, or a combination of the two. Personally, I don't consider one way to be better than another. It's really about personal preference, your own distinct style. Your style, as I always say about a lot of things, is always the best style for you. Now, this is built on the foundation of having built three successful businesses. I've been an entrepreneur full time since 2009. I built a business to success, an IT business from 2009 to 13. In 2013, I started a consulting practice, a business consulting practice, which I built to success. And 2013, I also started a YouTube channel. At the time of making this video here, this other YouTube channel that I'm referring to has over 400,000 plus subscribers. And throughout the entrepreneurial journey, I have made many millions of dollars. And you could do the same as well if you would like. So I trust that you'll find today's video to be very inspirational. Again, this is built on my personal experience. And also, I have over the years worked with many businesses to put many of these things that we're discussing in place here. Now, we're going to be exploring this from 7 perspectives. But before we continue, I mentioned in my previous video, if you haven't seen it, I'll link in the description to it, that I am working on a book. If you're interested in that, I'll link in the description to a form where you can sign up and get notified when I release the book, which is going to be based on this information here. Number 2, you can download a copy of this mind map, and any other resource that I include in my videos will be available for download in that link. So 7 perspectives that I would like to infuse into the conversation today. Although we can go very deep into these areas, we'll pepper it in. And as we progress through the videos, we can go deeper into it. Number 1 is the millionaire mind. Cultivating the millionaire mind. Consider for a moment, if you can calibrate the mind to be oriented towards actualizing, the way I like to say it, $1 million, then you, let's say, naturally do the things that are related to actualizing or manifesting or making $1 million. So this is an important consideration. Why is that the case? So rather than going against the programming, we can release that programming that is generating resistance so you could flow along the way. On my other channel, I talk about making flow a priority. Over the course of my entrepreneurial journey, I discovered that you can make $1 million in a force, stress-based way, or you could do it in a fun, joyous, flow-based way, which is our natural way, which is the way that I teach. And part of that is number 2, choosing your style, your authentic style. Consider that your style is the best style. It doesn't mean better than my style or my style is better than another entrepreneur's style. What it means is everybody has their best style. Now, as mentioned earlier, if you cleanse the mind of this programming that suggests that you don't have your best style or that you can't do your best style, you'll naturally result in choosing your best style and you'll find what works perfectly for you. Then, and on the journey, doesn't necessarily have to be in order, you can create what I call delightful offers. You can create products and services, one or the other, or a combination, whatever you'd like, online and offline. Again, I don't consider one way better than another. It could be even a combination. It's really up to you. That is beneficial for those that you serve so that you can facilitate generating a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. And you can benefit greatly by receiving wonderful compensation. Acquiring clients. So I have, over the years, cultivated a high degree of ability. You can always develop it more so, let's say, in the areas of copywriting, consultative selling, and direct response marketing. I recommend exploring these areas. So, acquiring clients is a matter of applying best practices, I find, from direct response marketing, consultative selling, and copywriting. And in the earlier stages, for some, including myself, it can seem stressful because we might not know what to do. And maybe a person may lack confidence, let's say, or may think that they don't have what it takes, which is an illusion. You don't lack confidence. There are beliefs that, let's say, stifle your flow. Who you truly are is confidence. And that confidence is naturally expressed as you release the programming. And then what happens is conversational flow. I don't believe in force-based selling. I don't believe in strong arming. I never did that. At times, I tried particular techniques in the earlier stages that were more along those lines, and they never felt natural and they didn't work for me. Maybe they work for another person, but personally, I don't want to create any more stress and frustration in my life. I want to create delightful offers, and I want to have conversations with people that facilitate a wonderful deal. So we're going to pepper that in there as well. Then we're also going to talk about multiple income streams. I find for myself that over the years, the millions of dollars were generated by doing a number of different things and also generating multiple streams of income. Like, for example, right now, as we're having a conversation, my assets are going up in value and they're giving me dividends. Also, there are product sales happening. There is ad monetization happening. There are other deals and revenue streams being facilitated in the background that is generating for me a wonderful income while we're talking. So a person could, you could say, trade time for money. The way I like to look at this, and we'll explore further, is to value your time and to, we could say, expand your earning potential, we say sometimes in business, your income potential per hour, so that we could say every hour money is flowing to you, even while you're sleeping. This can be done. We're also going to talk about consistency and long-term perspective. I have been an entrepreneur since 2009. Every day I wake up and take the steps, and ideally from a state of flow. And incrementally, I have built a business at times, and 3 businesses. And at times, there are what I call quantum leaps. All of a sudden, you get a big deal. All of a sudden, someone reaches out, and it's a very profitable deal. Could be tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even from one email or more. And let's say I don't go waiting for those deals, although they show up. And they show up naturally as I show up each day, consistently taking the steps. And I have fun doing it. Because, as mentioned, I do what I love to do. And along the journey, mind is purified from those beliefs of limitation. I enjoy having conversations with clients. I genuinely believe in what I'm offering in a way that's helpful for all parties involved. They are delightful offers. They are so delightful, let's say, that even when I'm out and about, I talk about with people. Out and about, Starbucks, if I'm in the airport, on an airplane, maybe you sat beside me. I have referred a number of people to my channel who have sat beside me on an airplane, and I may make offers if I feel that it's beneficial for them. When I had my IT business, IT offers, consulting offers, etc. Recommend them to check out my YouTube channel. And I like to see this from a long-term perspective. Because consider this as well. One of the things that I teach entrepreneurs is, number one, to have a wonderful monthly income, whatever it may be. Maybe for some it's 10,000, some 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 net to take home. Maybe their revenues are hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but whatever that is the take home. Enjoy a wonderful lifestyle. And interestingly enough, you don't need to spend a lot of money to have a wonderful lifestyle. There's a lot of creative things you could do to enjoy wonderful experiences Like, for example, if you really like nice cars, you could lease them off particular websites, or you could rent them off Turo for a week or two if you would like. And there are many ways to have a wonderful lifestyle, even if, let's say, you're not into the exotic cars, whatever your lifestyle is, you could do that nowadays easier, faster than ever before with actually less money. That's what I find. So you can have a wonderful lifestyle. Number one, make wonderful income. Number two, have a wonderful lifestyle. And number three, invest and benefit from compounding interest. We'll go through some scenarios and I'll even show you a calculator, and I'll give you the calculator to articulate just what I mean by this. So I teach entrepreneurs to do all three, because if an entrepreneur neglects, let's say, having a wonderful lifestyle, then maybe the business becomes very stressful. If they neglect increasing their monthly income to the point that they like, not, let's say, because someone says you have to increase it, to the point that you like, then they have a steady income flow, wonderful income flow. And then if you take a portion of that, and it can't even be a large portion of that, and invest it, then you get the benefits of compounding interest, and you can invest it in whatever you'd like. I like highly liquid assets, and this is not me giving investment advice, but I like stocks, index funds. We could say very simple investing, and I don't even want a high return. And I started earlier enough that it has benefited me greatly from the returns. As mentioned, there are even funds and stocks that pay out dividends, which can end up becoming an income source. Let's say you choose not to run your business anymore. You could live very comfortably off your investments. Then there's real estate, and there's other investments, crypto, etc. Also, scale with systems and automation. Now, we're not going to talk too much about scale with systems and automation in this video, because generally I found that to make your first $1 million, have systems and automation in place to a particular degree. And as your business grows, if you choose to scale your business, I generally find then that appropriately I put in, without overwhelming myself, without trying to put in too many things at once, the systems and automation that supports. And since we're focusing on $0 to $1 million, we won't put much emphasis on that, although we may do it in upcoming videos if you would like me to do so. And on that note, I am going to be answering some questions that were provided in the comments when I made my last video. If you would like to have me answer questions for you, you can in the comments, if you would like, leave your questions, and then we can discuss in the videos upcoming. So I'll throw in these questions. I have 3 of them here that were thus far provided in the comments in the last video. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link in the description to it, and we'll explore them as we continue. All right, so peppered in there, these 7 areas. Let's talk about revenue sources. So essentially, we're focusing on entrepreneurship. So you are creating products, services, or products and services. And there are other ways also to generate revenue, like ad monetization. So you're creating something of value, whether it be content, products, services, combination. You may also do sales for, maybe your business is a sales-oriented business where you get a commission off the sales you make. You may also do partnership deals. There's many different kinds of configurations, but generally speaking, there is money being exchanged for product, service, or value. So let's look at some revenue sources. There are digital products. Now, these revenue sources are not, as I go through them, it doesn't mean that you should do these things. I recommend being inspired by this conversation, and I'll talk about my personal experiences working with some of these areas. I have worked with thousands of entrepreneurs in my consulting practice. We may discuss some of their experiences. Yet see it as an exploratory conversation, and you can find the ways through the conversation or even after the conversation that are your natural style. Because as mentioned, choose your style, and delightful offers are your style. So digital products can be ebooks. You can create ebooks, and now you can put it on Amazon, and even they print for you, or they can arrange for the printing for you. There's online courses, stock photos and videos, printables. So I've created actually 5 courses on my website online training for entrepreneurs.com. And that has been very profitable. Not only do I have the opportunity to teach entrepreneurship, I've created programs on mind mapping, which is what we're doing here, learning and teaching, productivity, communication, the subconscious mind. Remember, we talked about this earlier, the millionaire mind. We also created a program on entrepreneurship and how I segment entrepreneurship, which is innovation, sales, marketing, operations, finance, leadership, and optimizing that. If you're interested, I'll link in the description to it. Now, it has been very profitable. I've also, in partnership with a company called Iris Reading, created speed reading courses. I've also, with other organizations, partnered and create programs and courses on various topics. It's a very profitable thing to do. And if you genuinely like teaching and you have something that you feel is beneficial for people, I recommend it. Ebooks as well. I've done that. Stock photo and videos. I haven't done that personally. But I know people that do that. They take photos and video clips and they sell them online. And they love to do it because they're into photography. Printables. You can turn your art into printables and print them. For example, I know people that do this on Etsy. Membership sites. I have a group coaching and mastermind service, which is a monthly membership service. Music and audio files. Maybe you're a DJ. Maybe you like creating sound effects. Maybe you're like creating audio, music, etc. That's something you could do as well. Digital templates. One of my previous relationships, she created digital templates and sold it on a website. And she was making a considerable income on the side. She had we were talking about multiple streams of income. She was making on the side, it was part of her overall business strategy. And she would get monthly recurring income from these digital templates, website templates that she would make. So that's digital. Software is also digital, but I'll segment it accordingly. You have mobile apps. You can create mobile apps if you'd like, if you're into that. Software as a service platforms, CRMs, for example, AI tools. This is becoming more and more popular these days. Automation software, email marketing tools, for example, project management tools, chat bots, website builders. So I used to have an IT business. And one of the things that I offered was I took open source software, that's called Open Bravo, and I customized it and turned it into a point of sale system, a custom point of sale system. It is actually a open source point of sale system for restaurants. You may see them in restaurants, point of sale systems where they punch in the order and then the order goes to the kitchen, the customer gets a receipt, etc. So those are point of sale systems. I took open source software and I created a point of sale system and customized it and sold it to a number of restaurants and retail locations in Toronto as part of my IT business. So why I bring that up as well is you can see that you can create multiple streams of revenue. When I had my IT business, although I was offering IT solutions to offices in Toronto, I also discovered there were other ways that I can make income, such as I would partner with companies and they would provide the services to my clients and I would get a percentage of the deal. Sometimes right off the first invoice, I would get a percentage off that, and sometimes recurring. I also would sign up people for web hosting. Sometimes they needed new websites and web hosting, and then I would get a percentage on that. And then even at one point, I started a web hosting service where I don't remember how many clients on there, a whole bunch of clients on that web hosting service. And that generated multiple streams of income. So we can do things in a combination. For example, you could have a combination of one digital thing, a few digital things, software. Then we have physical. So it could be physical books, merchandise, tech gadgets, health supplements, fitness equipment, branded stationery, physical art. You might choose to exclusively do physical, or you may choose to do a combination of physical, software, and digital, or maybe physical and digital, whatever resonates with you, whatever feels authentic. Because remember, choose your style, and your style is the best style. Now, Let's talk about software. And as mentioned earlier, if you would like a copy of this mind map, I'll link in the description to a link where you can download and any other resource. And also, you'll get notified of my release of the book that I'm writing based on what I'm sharing right here, which again is built on the foundation of building 3 successful businesses and having made many millions of dollars over the years. We're talking about how to make your first $1 million. Physical. Books, merchandise, tech gadgets, health supplements, fitness equipment, branded stationery, physical art, service-based, coaching, consulting, freelance services, virtual assistant services, marketing services, event planning, legal and financial services. You can also monetize for ads. So a portion of my income, a large portion of my income at a particular point on my YouTube channel, the other channel was getting a lot of views per month, was coming from ad revenue, including my podcast. And that wasn't actually me selling anything. I was providing content. And then what happened was companies would pay for advertising. And then YouTube would give me a split. Libsyn, which is my podcasting service, would give me a split off that ad revenue. This can be done through display ads, YouTube ad revenue, podcast ads, in-app ads, and other kind of scenarios. Newsletter sponsorships would be another example. You can also be an affiliate for products and services. And again, we can diversify this. Amazon Associates, there are those that have products and services that could benefit your audience. You may reach out to them and work a percentage deal, or maybe they already offer it. And this can be part of your revenue sources. So let's go into how. Before we do that, let's go through one of these questions. The question was, what's an IT career where I can work anywhere in the world that pays me $5,000 monthly? So an IT career that will allow you to work anywhere in the world that pays you $5,000 a month is consulting. That's one. You can be a general IT consultant for IT firms. As a matter of fact, the company that took over some of my IT clients back in the days, they have a number of contractors across the world that are on call and brought onto projects, and they may even have a full 40-hour work week, let's say, doing various things. Yet they're all over the world traveling, and they're providing IT solutions as a contractor. You can even be hired by an organization to do that. Now let's talk about $1 million. Now you can definitely make $1 million in a year. There are those that make it within months. We see that sometimes happen online, and then they share their stories. What I've seen is, let's say, if that seems too unbelievable, we can break it down. So let's take a scenario, and feel free to adjust this. I'm just going with a template right here, a particular one scenario, but feel free to calculate accordingly to a scenario that feels natural to you. So let's say to make $1 million in 3 years while working 40 hours a week and 52 weeks a year. Let's say if you would like to make $1 million a year in 3 years, working 40 hours a week in your business, 52 weeks per year, you would essentially need to invest your time at the tune of $160.26. Now, why I teach this way is because if you can calculate how much time you're investing, this is not trading time for money, but it is valuing your time. So if you can see where your time is going and you can calculate, a while back, I used to do this when I had my IT business. I had an app called Hours Tracker, and I would track my time, and I would see where my time is going. And then as I would bill out the clients and do all this stuff, I would actually see what my time is worth. For example, if somebody bills out for 1 hour of IT services at $200, but they actually take 3 hours or 4 hours, let's say 4 hours to provide that IT solution. So they're billing out at $200 for 1 hour, but it takes them 4 hours. They're actually making $50 an hour, but they're billing out at $200 an hour. So maybe they're doing some admin work or something prior to the client interaction where they're billing for that hour, and then after there's some work, administration, etc. So knowing where your time is going and calculating accordingly can be really helpful. So let's say if with all your business initiatives, you are calculating and you are not necessarily billing out at 160 an hour. You mean you could bill out at 160 an hour, but all your initiatives calculated multiple streams of income, affiliate commissions, joint venture deals, etc., are equal to $160 an hour and 26 cents, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, and you did that consistently for 3 years, you would have made $1 million. Now, if you charge $160.26 per hour, let's say, while working 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, you would make approximately $333,333.33. And so that's where I got that figure of dividing it up into 3 years. And then 1 year you'd make a penny more, and that would be $1 million. So again, you can charge this and make that $1 million in 3 years. And again, if you would like to make it in 1 year, you could adjust accordingly and figure out what your number is. I recommend actually taking this, copy this, and going over to ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT to modify this to give you figures that you would like to have that you could work with. Again, one way is not better than another. Each person's style of doing things. Some might even say, well, $1 million in 3 years seems a little intense for me. Unbelievable. It is possible, but I feel more comfortable, let's say, if I were to do it in 5 years. Some might say, I could do this in a year. One way is not better than the other. Okay, it's really up to you. This is your life. Do it your style. Now, again, if you're billing that, you would make it. But what I'm suggesting is that's what you can call self-employed. What I'm suggesting is also you can do some of that, as I did. I would bill out for some of my time in IT, but I would also add additional revenue sources that didn't involve me being there. But yet I would still calculate it, and it would be at the tune, at the pace that I was going in to achieve the number. You see what I'm saying? So if it is this pace right here, you can make $160.26 an hour, $160.26 per hour without doing any work, let's say for that hour. If you have physical product sales happening and then the profit margins in that time equal $160.26. So yearly revenues of $333,333.33 is equivalent to a monthly revenue of approximately $27,777.78. This is helpful because some entrepreneurs prefer to do this by monthly. So some say, okay, well, I'll do $1 million in 3 years, or I'll just do $1 million and it'll happen when it happens. Some like to use numbers like I do and break it down. And, this is just a guide. Some months can be more or less, I found, but it helps put things into perspective. And I will explain why I recommend this for some entrepreneurs, not necessarily all entrepreneurs, but let's explore. So if you know that 27,776, or we can say 28,000 is what you would like to make per month, and if you achieve making $28,000 a month, then you're on your way, and you do it consistently, then you're on your way to having $1 million made. Then you focus on creating products and services, which we'll talk about in a moment, various scenarios to achieve that end. So $333,333.33. Why I like to do this is because then we know how much, and you can get more granular. I work with entrepreneurs on this. Let's say they then take out $70,000 from that. You travel, you have a wonderful lifestyle, or you could do less or more, whatever. And you take $70,000 of that. Now, this is an important point. Why I'm bringing this up. You take $70,000 from that. I also recommend becoming financially free so that you're not making $1 million and spending $1 million. And then in a few years, your bank account is at zero. Your investment portfolio is at zero. I teach this to entrepreneurs, and I have seen many entrepreneurs do this. They have made many millions of dollars. There are those that made way more than I did. yet their net worth is not as high as mine. They have no investments. And they're still, you could say, one offer away from shutting down a portion of their business because money in the bank account is running low. You could say both in their business and also in their personal account. So I do not recommend that. That might be very stress-based. Consider this. And again, I'll link to the spreadsheet. You can opt in and get it. This is a calculator. It's a very basic calculator that, let's say 2025, this is the time I'm making this video, you're at the age of 30. You have $0. Your first year, you did make, let's say, $333,333.33. And approximately you had cleared at the end of the year $215,000. You enjoy a wonderful lifestyle with the rest of the money. You take the $70,000 and you invest it in some kind of investment that is, let's say, 10%. Or you can even adjust this right here. You can adjust these numbers if you would like. We can do 9%, which is pretty close to the ongoing return for the S&P 500 over the course. Some years higher, some years lower. Well, if you did that, and if you did that every year, over the course, by the time you're 50, that would be worth $3.5 million. And by the time you're 65, that would be worth $15 million. That is provided that you are investing every year $70,000. Now, some might consider that a lot. You could play around with it. Even if you did $10,000 and you started out at 30, by the time you're 65, that would be worth $2 million. Now, consider inflation as well. We're not going to get too granular with this. Yet what I'm bringing awareness to is that if you do put money aside, sooner than later, with the power of compounding interest, that can add up significantly. And as mentioned, there are investments that give you passive income. Maybe if you have rental properties. I have a friend actually who has a number of rental properties and he gets passive income. So there was a period of time where he put money aside, bought one property, next property, next property. And then eventually the combination of those properties provided monthly income. And also the asset value is increasing for those properties. I like to consider that as well. So it's not just about making money. It's also about having a wonderful lifestyle. And I recommend putting money aside and benefiting from those investment returns and the increase of value of the assets. Now consider, if you're new to this, there may be a learning curve. You're learning consultative selling, copywriting, you're learning how to do direct response marketing, you're learning about operations, you're learning, and that's okay. It doesn't have to happen right away. This is just a scenario that, let's say, I consider now as a fundamental scenario to teach this to entrepreneurs. Yet you can adjust this accordingly. For example, for me, it wasn't like that in the first year. As a matter of fact, in the first year, I was running at a loss. And it wasn't because I needed to run at a loss. Actually, I did 10 years in corporate, and it was great to be on my own. I was on call a lot, and I would work long hours when I was in corporate. Yet, when I got off the corporate 10 years and got into entrepreneurship, I was also going out, enjoying my freedom. Yet, if I focused, let's say if I wanted to, not a force-based way, but if I wanted to focus, which I eventually did, focus on what we're talking about here, then those revenues would have gone up earlier than later. Again, it worked out totally fine for me, so consider that. Let's say we wanted to go through these scenarios and focus exclusively on one of these, either digital product, software subscription, physical product, service-based, ad monetization, affiliate marketing, or a combination of all of them, which is what I like to do. And again, as we go through these, you may have questions. We're going through this at a very high level. I'm aiming to capture as much nuance and detail. Yet you may have some questions which you can ask in the comment section, and I will answer these questions in upcoming videos. Let's actually go to one of the questions before we continue that was submitted on the previous video. Thank you, Joseph, for your insights and new channel. Can you talk about these business practices as it applies to entertainment? I make fantasy and sci-fi movies. I've invested over 20 years in developing an epic IP fantasy story and world. I'm a filmmaker, animator, producer, director looking to scale this epic story. Thanks again for your consideration. So let's explore that, and you'll actually see that peppered into our conversation. My IT business was built primarily through referrals. What happened was I met one person off Facebook who referred me to a steel company, who referred me to an accountant, and a considerable amount of business came from referrals from the accountant and who the accountant referred me to, and including that initial contact had referred me to. Referrals. It's a great way to build a business. Why is that the case? Because those that know, like, and trust you are more likely to refer business to you. So, also in my consulting practice, I acquired a lot of clients through referrals. Also, a considerable amount of business revenue was generated through business partnerships, referrals, and business partnerships. And that's a very, you could say, offline approach, although it can be done online as well because you can get online referrals. But primarily in my IT business, except for that initial contact, which was done, I reached out to someone who has a Facebook group. That was done online, but the referrals happen offline with the accountant, etc. So what I'm getting at is relationships. See the commonality there? It's relationships. What I recommend is developing harmonious relationships, lifelong relationships, and we can explore the nuances of this in upcoming videos if you'd like. So with respect to this question here, I may make a list of people that can refer business to me or open up doors for me, and then I would reach out to them one by one. It could be on LinkedIn, it could be going to events and meeting people. Essentially, I would make a list of what you're looking for to see this that you've created into fruition. Generally, we tend to see this all throughout various businesses. Is there are those that can bring this that you created over to a large audience. There are people that, let's say, for example, they have channels where they discuss these topics or they review these kinds of movies, or podcasts where they discuss movies, or groups where they discuss movies. And maybe the facilitator of their, you can connect with them, build a relationship with them, and they really enjoy the movie. And then they start talking about it to their audience. And now more and more people come and see your movie. But not only that, they also may contact you to see if you could do some stuff for them. So what happens is it could turn into additional movies that you create or services that you offer, which ends up creating multiple streams of revenue. What I have seen is when someone creates a product or service, they do something like this, they get their product and service out there, and they also get people that reach out to them, or people that, as a result of experiencing their product or service, reach out to them and say, can you help me with that? And then a consulting practice is born. So they end up doing that, plus also continuing with their filmmaking, etc., continuing with their artistic expression, whether it be filmmaking, music, etc. So this we can call is creating multiple streams of income, as we mentioned earlier here. We'll scroll back up. One of the ways we can create multiple streams of income is by having a combination of these, as mentioned. And this is just a high-level idea. Now, as you make that list and you contact people, there are people that can open up doors for you. There are people that can buy from you. There are people that can refer people to you or open up doors and contacts. You know, one time I got brought into this mastermind and they asked me to speak about entrepreneurship. This was the earlier stages when I was doing consulting. This was actually in 2013. And what happened was, giving the talk in there, I brought up a very simple spreadsheet. I said, let's say if I was to do this again from scratch, build my IT business from scratch, I will start where I am right now, the contacts that I have, or make a few contacts of people that are interested in buying, people that could refer business to me, or people that could refer people to me that could provide supporting services or supporting whatever to build a business. It could be in the areas of innovation, finance, sales, marketing, operations, leadership. And I would continue to build these relationships and build more and more relationships. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of relationships. And as I continue to do that, I will acquire clients. And you can keep it very simple. Those that right now would like to do business with you, you can reach out to them and you can apply consultative selling. A good book to read and learn consultative selling is Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. And you'll get better and better at it with practice, as I have. And so what ends up happening then is you acquire clients and you do wonderful service. Provided you do wonderful service for the clients, you can ask for referrals or they automatically provide you referrals. You can make it as part of your practice to ask for referrals in as many ways you can ask for referrals, even give percentage on the deals, etc. So this is actually a very applicable question to how we're going to go about doing this, because a question that might arise is, how do I get the clients? Well, we'll talk about that in many ways. So let's look at scenarios here. Let's say you wanted to go the route of digital product. You would make this money, $333,333.33, by charging $500 for your course and then having 667 sales, which is equivalent to 56 sales on average per month. If you're doing software subscription, you could charge for your product $50 a month, and your goal is to have 555 users, which is going to average around 27,700 and something per month. I will talk about how to go about acquiring. I like to look at these numbers first, because what this does is it puts it into perspective. So we talked about thus far different kinds of revenue sources, doing it in combination, choosing your style, and let's explore mindset a little bit. Let's explore the millionaire mind. If there is any resistance to what is being discussed here, if there's any thoughts of, I can't do this, this is impossible, other people can do it, Joseph can do it, but he is smart and I'm not that smart, consider that I too, like you, if you have those thoughts appearing in mind, also had those thoughts appearing in mind. And I practiced releasing them. There are many things you could do to release that programming in the subconscious mind. I created a subconscious mind program for that. One of the simplest ways to do it is to not identify with them and even have conversations like we're doing right now with entrepreneurs who have released those limiting beliefs. And then they find they naturally do the thing, or they don't have resistance to it. So it may be, you know what, this may be Joseph's style, or some people might do it this way. What's my style? So rather than saying, I can't do this, this is too hard, I'll never be able to do this, we release those beliefs. And what ends up happening as a result is you choose your style. You find your style. So let's go back here. Physical product. Let's say you were offering pairs of shoes. You created some kind of shoes. And $200 per pair, you would sell 1,667 pairs per year, which is $139 per month, or whatever the product may be. If it's service-based, let's say $5,000 a client, whatever it be, consulting packages. You would get 67 clients per year, 5 or 6 per month, which is actually not that much. Consider, for example, if someone set a quota, and I recommend doing this if you find that you work well with quota. Some like it, some might not. I like it personally. If you reach out to 5 of those prospects a day, or you go to some online events and you make more contacts and you reach out to 5 qualified prospects. Remember, I brought this up in the previous video. If you haven't seen it, I'll link in the description. I like to focus on qualified visitors, qualified leads, acquiring clients, and ongoing business from existing clients. Well, if you have 5 qualified leads, or let's say you're starting out and you're creating a list of leads and not as qualified, and as you continue to connect with people online, offline, this list that you have grows, which you can even put in an email list. I would start off personally with a simple spreadsheet and reach out to 5 a day. Reaching out to 5 people a day is 25 people a week. Let's say you work 40 hours a week, Monday to Friday. We gave that example. A portion of that day is dedicated to reaching out to 5 people a day. It could be back to back or throughout the day. You have 100 opportunities. Let's say it's a 4-week month, 100 different opportunities to acquire 5 or 6 clients. Now, you can also optimize along the way. Let's say you're not converting those leads into clients, so it's not converting into clients. That's okay. You can optimize. Again, I created 5 programs, and I created one on entrepreneurship, which talks about consultative selling, direct response marketing, and copywriting. So you can optimize. And then what I have found is you do meet those numbers. So if it's $5,000 you would like to make per client, and this, let's say if I was using this model here, because I've been doing consulting since 2013, this is a great one actually, that is mathematically in tune with our objective. Let's say I was following this. I would say, okay, I'm just going to focus on this. Maybe for a whole year, I'm going to do this. And maybe later on, I'm going to add some products and services that are complementary to this, going back to what we mentioned earlier about, on average, $160.26 per hour of income. So it doesn't mean trading time for money necessarily. It means income per month. So through combination, you can achieve that. But let's say without combination, just doing this, I may focus on a period of time. And what I've seen, let's say if a person does this, is they do end up coming up with additional products and services. They may come up with a subscription service, etc. But let's say $5,000 per client, they focus on that, 5, 10, 15, 20 conversations per day. They optimize their consultative selling. They come up with creative ways, and we can discuss this if you'd like in upcoming videos, to acquire clients. They inevitably eventually get to a point where they start acquiring clients. And this might involve customizing the offer, adjusting the product or service, which is totally fine. Because what we find in consulting, for example, is the individual might go in and think, well, the clients are going to buy this product or service that I've created or this consulting package. But when they have conversations with prospects, they might be looking for a variation of that or something else that they genuinely like to do. And they pivot over to that, and that ends up being the consulting offer. Consider that as well is you may customize, you may optimize, as I say sometimes, your product or service as you're having these conversations. You may optimize the positioning, the style of communication, you improve your consultative selling skills, and we could say if there's any limiting beliefs that show up along the way, we could take that as an opportunity to cultivate that mindset, which is actually what I focus a lot on my other channel, which I'll link to in the description. Now, let's say it's ad monetization. If YouTube was offering $10 on average for 1,000 views, this is just an example, 33.3 million views per year or 2.8 million views per month would get you that right there. So there are actually channels that rely on AdSense as their income. And it's not just YouTube. There are other platforms that provide ad revenue. And so what's happening is the content, there's no product or service being offered, but the content is generating a source of revenue. And you can, as mentioned, focus exclusively on that if you'd like. Me, I like a diversification approach. So I like a combination right now. This may change based on what business I'm doing. I like digital products. I like service-based. I like ads. And I also like affiliate marketing, which is what we're going to talk about next. So essentially, you can get a commission for selling someone else's product or service. Let's say it's a high-ticket business program. And there are many of these high-ticket business programs out there that will pay you a commission if you get clients. Let's say the commission was $1,000 because maybe it was a $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 program, business high-ticket coaching program. You get $1,000 where you'd make essentially $333,333.33 by selling 334 of these per year, or 28 a month. And there are people that do it. I have met them personally. They essentially have their own sales business and they have one client which they do sales for. So it's their own business and they do sales for them. And they may follow something like I mentioned. Even sometimes that organization provides the leads. So it could be a combination. The organization provides the leads, they acquire their own leads, or the organization provides the leads. And they make phone calls each day or send emails, in-person meetups, or a combination. And actually, I did a portion of this in my IT and consulting practice. So I trust you see now that I tend to resonate more so with a combination approach, as the combination approach has resulted in many millions of dollars of sales. So could I have made $1 million by just selling one of these and just focus on that? Certainly. There are many that do that. Personally, I did it in a combination way. Let's talk about combination way. Now, as mentioned, I do this here, affiliate marketing. Let's explore that a little bit. So I do have offers. For example, I mentioned speed reading, iris reading. I do have offers that, let's say if people reach out to me or when I'm out and about or I'm working with clients, that are not my offers, but they're offers from different organizations that, let's say, would be helpful for the particular prospect or the client that I'm working with. It would be helpful for them to get this benefit that they provide. I make a referral and I get a percentage off that. I was doing that for years with business consulting and IT, cabling companies, those that had bigger systems and infrastructure and teams or support of different systems that were, let's say, larger scale than what I was focusing on. I would refer to those IT companies and I would get revenue splits. All of this in combination equals $1 million. You see it? So while you can do one thing over and over and over and over again and then make $1 million, you can actually do it with combination. And any one of these ways and your style of doing it, I recommend. So let's look at a combination approach. What would it look like if a person was, and again, this is not to be static, this is just an example. What would it look like to make $333,333.33 per year if our goal is $1 million in 3 years? And as mentioned, ideally put aside at least $70,000 or more and then invest that so you can get the benefits of the compound interest over the course. And a wonderful benefit of doing that is at a particular point, let's say if a person is worried about money, they authentically can relax more so. Because what happens is if they're getting, let's say, dividends or income from their investments, it may start to replace the income that they're generating from their business. So then they can not even work or do business anymore, just dismantle their business or sell their business. And I've sold a number of my clients to another IT company when I had my IT business. They could do that. You could do that. And then you could say, just live off the passive income from your assets. You see, that is why I put over here long-term perspective and consistency. And as mentioned, it doesn't have to be stress. I had a lot of fun since I started my business, my IT business in 2009, and I've transitioned from that. Being an entrepreneur full-time since 2009, I've had a lot of fun along the way. And I've been an entrepreneur for so many years now, 16 years, and it's fun. And I learn, I grow. And there's a lot of nuances of what you learn along the way. And as mentioned, right now we're 1 hour into the video. I could make this video 15 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours, and get into granular aspects. This is to get the ball rolling and give you plenty of insights and perspectives. And actually, there's a number of videos out on YouTube talking about it in their way. And with the combination, you find your style. You create delightful offers that you genuinely like to do. You acquire clients. There are many ways. We'll talk about some examples. And I recommend multiple income streams. I also recommend investing, seeing it from a long-term perspective, and scale and automation, generally based on SOPs, which we're not going to explore. Teams, I recommend optimization, automation, delegation, even elimination process, etc. You can scale accordingly. You can bring on more team members to do the sales for you, lead generation for you, client fulfillment. Again, beyond the scope of what my style of discussing this is right now, because I got to many millions of dollars of revenue generated by having just contractors. And maybe now and then I would have a contractor that would be, let's say, more full-time-ish. But I had a few contractors that I work with. This is very called solo entrepreneur. And nowadays, with the different ways that you can make money supported by the various technologies, you can make a significant income as a solo entrepreneur or having a lean team. And I like to work with entrepreneurs personally. So the contractors that I work with, they were entrepreneurs as well. Let's look at a combination approach. An example would be if you sell 100 online courses a year, which are $500 each. You sell 100 software subscribers paying or subscription service $50 a month and maintaining them for the full year. You sell 375 physical products at $200 each. You enroll 16 clients, and I understand there's probably some overhead involved with some of this, but this is just not factoring it. And if you would like to factor it, I've got more precise calculators in my entrepreneurial program. If you're interested in that, I'll link in the description to it. Or you can create your own calculators and figure this out. This is just to be ballpark, to give some perspective. And let's say you enroll 16 coaching clients at $5,000 each. You get 3.5 million YouTube views for the whole year. Let's say you refer 34 people over to a high-ticket sales program and made $1,000. With this combination, you would make $333,333.33. Now, to get a combination like this is where, and we can explore this if you would like. You can leave a comment about this and we can explore. Businesses create funnels. And I kind of like the funnel approach, but not as rigid. My style is more freestyle. So I show up each day, do my tasks, and then naturally what arises is the next step. And then as you continue on the entrepreneurial journey, what I find is I'm less rigid and more creative on how I go about doing things. And then what happens is I hit my numbers. Sometimes I might do some sales calls. Sometimes I might focus more on creating content that gets more views. Sometimes I might send out some emails. Again, you could do this in a systematic, structured way. This is just my style of doing it. Generally find as businesses scale, it's helpful to do it in a more systematic way. It's up to you. And I have been involved with initiatives, and I have done initiatives that were more systematized. That's an example of a combination approach. Now let's talk about client acquisition. So to recap thus far, we mentioned that you can offer digital products, software, physical, service, ad monetization can be a revenue stream. You can be an affiliate. It could be one of these or a combination. We've broke down what it could look like as far as breakdown of revenues to achieve $1 million in 3 years, but you can adjust it accordingly if you'd like. We even got even more granular and said, what about net? And what can you do with that net income? What do you recommend, Joseph, personally? And I shared that as well. We looked at different ways we can break down the pricing of the products, services, etc. Now let's talk about acquiring clients. Now, what do you create as far as product and service? We're not going to go into this video, but we can discuss in an upcoming video. If you would like to see that, leave a comment below. We can explore in an upcoming video. How do you go about finding what you genuinely love to do? And again, I'm writing a book on this. So if you're interested in that book, when I release, I will email you. The link is in the description to be notified of that, and also download this mind map, and also throw in that spreadsheet, the compound interest calculator, very simple one. And I may tack on over the course as we make some videos, some other calculators to that spreadsheet, and we can continue to progress. So next is let's say you do have the product or service, or you have some ideas of the product or service, and you would like to start having conversations with people, you would like to start marketing to see what happens. Because consider this, as you market, as you sell, you may optimize your products and services. Innovation, as I mentioned, I segment entrepreneurship as following: innovation, operations, sales, marketing, finance, and leadership. As you deliver on the product or service through operations, you may find more insights and perspectives for new products and services. You may also, as you're doing sales, come up with new innovation. You may also, as you're doing your marketing and you see the response that you're getting, customize and come up with new products and services. Customize your existing products and services so that it converts, or create new ones. Let's look at how we can market, how we can sell. Selling online courses, for example. You can do this offline. So while you can do this online by creating social media channels, for example, you can create a YouTube channel, you can create a TikTok, you can create an Instagram. I got experience with YouTube, so we can discuss that if you'd like upcoming. You can also do it offline. You can go to local meetups, events, and attend industry-specific meetups, networking events, and conferences. I did this. Engage in conversations with people and who may benefit from the course, and you may end up selling some courses. And if you've got a number of different products and services you're offering, they may take a different product or service and later on buy the course. You can also do this online with meetups and groups. Now, there's nuances to this. I recommend not doing it in a pushy way, a salesy way, where it's off-putting, but rather in a conversational, casual way, which you get better at with practice by applying what is discussed in the book Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. Wonderful book, Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. Another great book is The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. It's a great consultative selling book. I very much enjoyed that. The book that helped me was Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. Next, you got 100 Software Subscribers. Approach small businesses, business owners, co-working spaces, again, meetups, events, and this can be very profitable. So imagine if you got a software, a CRM or something like that, and one might think, why would I approach someone and make $50? Well, what if they stay as a member of your service for 5 years? And what if you have enough members of the service being a member of the service, benefiting greatly from the service, the software service, and they stay on consistently? They have wonderful things to say about it. They give wonderful testimonials. Now you have a business that can be sold. It has value. It is a valuable asset that can be sold. So while one might say, why would I approach small business owners and do this kind of legwork? In the earlier stages, it's helpful to do it. I did it with my IT business, and I'm glad I did. Because over the course, the value of the business increases, the amount of business you get, and the ongoing business you get from those existing clients can increase. So you can visit co-working spaces, local events, etc., places ideally that would have people that would be interested in this kind of software that you are offering. Same with the courses. And again, if they're related, if the online course is related to this, then going to those same events provides you opportunity to offer both. And let's say you're offering physical products. Let's use artwork. So I have a number of artists that ask me about selling their art. You can approach art galleries, local exhibitions, visit local galleries, art fairs, pop-up events, and connect with gallery owners and collectors to get your work displayed and left on consignment and perhaps sold. Then we have, in relation to this, I had a client that bought my point of sale system, and I would do ongoing stuff with them. They were my earlier clients of the point of sale system I mentioned earlier. They actually had in their cafe/restaurant artwork that was displayed by artists left on consignment. In other words, the price was there, whether it be $500, $800. People would come in now and then, once in a while, and really like that art piece. And then they would buy it. And I don't know if they got a commission out of it, but the artist would make money, or maybe they gave everything to the artist. I'm not sure. But that is a wonderful way of promoting art. And again, this can all be done in combination. So you can actually have a business where you have some kind of subscription service, and you also sell online courses like I do, and you may now and then have some art pieces. I don't personally, but let's say every now and then I made an art piece, whatever it was, and put it on consignment somewhere. Although I'm not relying on that art to be sold as primary source of income, I can every now and then make a sale. So again, we're talking about multiple streams of income, which is what I recommend. Next, we have enrolling 16 coaching clients, $5,000. So this again can be done at business events, masterminds. As mentioned, you can acquire clients through ads, through social media, through search engines, through your website, forums, groups. There are many online spaces. You can also do it offline. You can attend business events, and you can even attend online business events. Networking groups, offline, online. Masterminds, offline, online. Industry events, offline, online. And if it's, let's say, high ticket, maybe these are high net worth individuals who are looking to invest or be more open to invest in something that will generate even more returns on their investment. If they're, let's say, making $1 million, if you have some kind of optimization that can make them, we have that spreadsheet that, let's say I said 9%, maybe you have something that could return them, maybe through some things, some advice, coaching, etc., on real estate, this and that could turn that 9% into 10%, 15%, 20%. They might consider investing in this coaching program. So you go over there, have conversations. Notice how I put a lot of emphasis on relationships and conversations. How I've made many millions of dollars over the course of my entrepreneurial journey is by constantly having wonderful conversations with prospects, clients, team members, vendors, staff, people when I'm out and about. And more specifically in business, enjoying conversations with people, and it can be done through videos, one-on-one, group, Zoom, etc. You become way more refined in your communication style, and it's very pleasing. And it may go from in the earlier stages being very off-putting and pushy to very, very smooth, you could say, and pleasant conversations, which actually facilitate the sales. Some might refer to this as soft selling. I look at it as I just have fun doing what I love to do, having conversations with people. And if they're interested, great. If they're not interested, great. Because at the end of the day, I'm always having conversations. If you enjoy meeting with people and you set quota, let's say, for example, 5, 10, 15, 20 people a day within the scope of the areas where they're more likely to be engaging in conversation, naturally it translates into sales, especially when the individual has released the limiting belief regarding sales and money. They just naturally make the offers, which is what I recommend. So notice that I am recommending here more so connecting with people, building relationships, which naturally improves your direct response marketing, consultative selling, and copywriting skills. Then when you study the videos, the books on direct response marketing, consultative selling, and copywriting, the combination of actually physically doing it, practically applying it, and going back to the books and optimizing is a wonderful combination. And me personally, I like an 80-20 approach. 80% I am, you could say, out in the field. I am having conversations with people. I am doing sales presentations. I am involved with prospecting 80% of the time, doing business deals. And 20% of the time, and even less nowadays, I may refer to books and trainings, etc. I value both, yet I find for myself the 80-20 ratio more on the side of applying the information was helpful for me. And that's what works. And I've seen this to be the case with many entrepreneurs as well. So next we have AdSense or ad revenue. You can approach other YouTubers. I did a few collaborations on my YouTube channel, which spiked up the subscriber count. As mentioned, my other YouTube channel had at the time of making this video 400,000 plus subscribers. And a chunk of them came through collaborations. They brought me onto the channel. I brought them onto mine. You can reach out to YouTubers in your area, your niche, do a collaboration, interview or something like that, shout outs, cross-promote audiences. That's really helpful. You can also organically build your YouTube channel, as I did, by having conversations on topics that people are genuinely interested in that I also happen to be interested in. all the topics over the years, the book discussions that I did in relation to my personal experience, people were searching for book discussions on YouTube because they love reading those books, and maybe they never had anyone to have those conversations with them. But through my videos, they had someone to have the conversations with them because I would make discussions on my YouTube channel on business books and other books that I found to be very helpful, and I would share my insights and perspectives of applying the information, and did that with various topics that I was genuinely interested in. So it was a sweet spot combination, what I was genuinely interested in and what people were genuinely interested in. And then also at times, I would talk about things that I was genuinely interested in, that, let's say, there weren't a lot of people interested in it. Yet at times I find that those videos don't get as much views, but that's fine. I genuinely felt like talking about it. So by creating content that engages people, that is part of a conversation already happening, that is mutually beneficial, you can get more views on your content, which can then result in ad revenue, which can then also result in people buying your products and services if you have links in the description. And that is what I did with my YouTube channel. Now, number 6, again, this is all combination here. So we created a ratio. And I recommend putting this into a spreadsheet. In my entrepreneurial program, I do have a spreadsheet where you can plug in all these numbers in there so then you can see and diversify accordingly. And then once you've diversified, once you've found the product or service, once you acknowledge that the product or service, and you acknowledge that the product or service may be customized or optimized along the way, you remain fluid and dynamic and open. And you've got your numbers and diversification, although it might not be rigid like this when it plays out. And that's like with a lot of things. For example, I snowboard. There is a wide range of slope. There may be other snowboarders and skiers on the slope, yet there's enough space, because I don't think that they would allow too many people onto the slopes. I've never seen it to the point where there would be no room. There's enough room that you can maneuver, but you won't fall off the edge of the mountain because they've got trees and they've got boundaries set up. That's the way I like to look at this, is we're not making this rigid. It's not like they're giving you this very narrow path to snowboard down. There may be some black diamonds where you go through the trees and the paths are very narrow, and some like that because they want a more advanced experience, let's say. But generally speaking, there's a healthy flex in there, and there's also nice guardrails. There's also trees. And so that's the way I like to look at this. Not rigid with these numbers, but a ballpark calculating towards the end. So you know what it is that you're offering, product or service, or you may have a combination with ad revenue. And also, you are open to customize, optimize based on having conversations with people, and your business starts to flow, and the conversions increase, and then your numbers increase. I've created a number of millionaires through my channel, through my consulting, by talking about it this way. I've never articulated exactly this way. I've got many ways of articulating it, but generally saying the same thing. We've gone through something like this, and they've built successful businesses, having made their first $1 million, and then going on to make more than $1 million, etc. And as mentioned, this is also based on my personal experience. Now, another combination in order to achieve $333,333.33 per year for 3 years is part of the combination. You may consider selling 34 high-ticket programs as an affiliate for someone else or another business. So you can build relationships with those who already have an audience that would benefit from the product and offer them a custom discount link or commission for using your link. I remember I did this a while back, diversification. There was an entrepreneur offering a high-ticket business program, and I had made lots of contacts, applying everything we're talking about here. One contact was interested in a program like this, a high-ticket business program, so that he could build his business. It wasn't something that I was offering, and I also really liked the entrepreneur that was offering. I benefited greatly from learning from the entrepreneur. I know that the entrepreneur's methods have proven an equation. They work. I benefited greatly. So I made a referral, and he bought through my link, and I got $1,000 commission. So I don't remember how much the program was. And then I remember I was actually in Playa del Carmen, Mexico on vacation, and I was at the beach, and all of a sudden I got a PayPal notification. I had received my commission, the $1,000. So while a person can, let's say, focus exclusively on that, I personally like a diversification approach. A diversification approach is how I achieve my numbers. And even when it comes to investing, I also like diversification. So I know we've covered a lot of things. And if you do have more questions or anything you would like me to explore that was inspired by today's conversation, then you can, if you would like, leave a comment. Like, for example, someone else left another comment on the previous video and we'll answer in the upcoming videos. My goal here with this channel is to contribute, support your entrepreneurial journey. And when I was coming up as an entrepreneur, there were people that were helpful for me on YouTube, podcasts, etc. So now I get to play that role and support you on your journey. What an honor. So the question was, let's explore it. What about if someone has no IT knowledge or background? This is great. Let's take IT out of the equation. If someone has no IT or no knowledge or no background in the area of interest, you can partner with an IT service provider who is a business owner and is looking to collaborate, perhaps, or you may have a conversation with them and they can collaborate. And you can offer some kind of support in any of the areas in innovation, sales, marketing, operations, finance, leadership. And then you could do it for a percentage. Maybe they will give you, if you can somehow quantify, if you focus, for example, on sales or marketing, you bring them more clients, then you can get a percentage of that. Now, let's say you want to get involved with IT. You could get an entry-level position in there. You can maybe take a few courses and get an entry position or a position which is quite general, which maybe involves a lot of administration stuff and some IT support. And you could learn on the job, on the project, from the other people in the organization, you can look at what systems they're using, what technologies they're using, and you could learn on the job, and you can ask them to give you some projects so that you could apply while you are learning. And then that could result in them giving you more and more tasks and projects that we could say are more complex. That's essentially what happened to me when I got into corporate. Prior to that, I got into corporate at a very young age, 20 years old. And prior to that, my IT experience was fixing computers, things that, let's say, you would do at home, wireless networks and removing viruses of computers, things like that. It wasn't enterprise systems. When I got into corporate, I was a printer operator. It was called printer operator. You do backups, you print these reports, you do very simple checklist items. And as I did it, I would learn more things. They would teach me how to patch servers. They would teach me how to do this and that tasks that the senior techs, let's say, it was repetitive for them to do, or it was not worth their time to do. They would pass on to me. And I would do these tasks and I would learn more and more. I would read, I would study, and then I got promoted to help desk. Then I got promoted to technical support. And over the course, I was there for 10 years, I got promoted. So what happened was I would learn, I would take courses on the side, and I started off at, let's say, an entry-level position, which is totally fine. So then what happens, let's say it's a very entrepreneurial organization. The company that I worked for was a large retailer. So it wasn't focused on IT offering it to the market. It was a retailer. And IT was required for their offices, for their warehouses, etc. So they had an in-house IT team. And even they would bring in contractors. But let's say I worked for that other company that I mentioned that took over some of my clients when I had my IT business. They are looking to build their IT business. I would find areas to optimize, and then eventually it could turn into percentage on profit or revenue split. I find that with these kinds of organizations, generally, I find, not always, there are those that are looking for operational efficiency improvement. But generally, I find they're looking for more sales, more marketing. That's why in entrepreneurship, I generally tend to focus more on the revenue side. I like to focus more on the sales, marketing, and innovation because with the capital brought in, as mentioned, here's some examples here. Even if you don't want to invest 70,000, you can reinvest a large chunk of that back into your business, because when you bring in the money, you have more money to invest into your business, which could include investing in technology, bringing on contractors, hiring people, whatever you'd like. Okay, so in grand recap, these 7 areas: mindset, choosing your style. Out of all the things that we talked about and all the things we can talk about, I recommend choosing your style. Create delightful offers, as I like to call it. Offers that are fun for you, joyous, flow-based offer, and also, if it's service-based, provide, and it feels wonderful, and you enjoy your experience working with the clients. Go through acquiring clients by some of the things that I had mentioned, and there are many more that we can discuss with respect to marketing and sales. Consider multiple streams of income. Consider that long-term perspective and consistency is helpful. Consistently reaching out to, let's say, if you've got a quota of people, that's what really helped me grow my business. Consistently reaching out to prospects, consistently doing sales, consistently doing the marketing. Consistency, consistency, consistency. And not in a force-based way. You can have fun doing it. And consider long-term perspective. Investing for the long term, whether it be in your business or if you're taking money out of the business for personal wealth, etc. And then as you go along, and I don't focus too much on it in the beginning, because then what I've seen sometimes is with myself and entrepreneurs is they focus too much on the systems and automation internally, maybe because they're avoiding doing the sales, maybe because they're avoiding doing the marketing, because, if maybe they're identified with the belief that maybe they're afraid of talking to people. Maybe they just generally don't like to do it. If they don't generally like to do it, then they can bring on a sales professional. They can do a partnership deal, etc. There are many configurations. And although, as mentioned, we didn't focus too much on this, what I like to do is, as the business is growing, put in the systems and automations while not neglecting the number growth. If you could do that in an ideal ratio, then what happens is we achieve our numbers. And as mentioned, there are many different kinds of offers that you can make. It could be digital, software, physical, service. You can even monetize or make a wonderful income through ad monetization. And in combination, this can be done. Affiliate as well, as mentioned. All this, one of these combination, I don't consider one better than another. A few of these combination, that's my style of doing things. We went through a breakdown. If you wanted to make $1 million in 3 years, working 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, how much time, based on that investment of time, all your initiatives would return at least $160 an hour. You calculate, and 26 cents. That would equate to $333,333.33 per year. And if you did that consistently, then add a penny at the end, you would have $1 million. And if you make that kind of money, and as I mentioned, I recommend putting money aside to invest for long-term growth. And then inevitably what ends up happening is that income replaces, if you do income from your assets or dividends, can end up replacing the income that you make for your business. Or you can keep both, whatever is fun for you. For me, I consider myself a lifelong entrepreneur. I have a lot of fun, so I keep doing it. We talked about various scenarios of doing it to achieve the yearly goal. Even can be done in combination. We also talked about client acquisition. And we can get into all kinds of nuances in relation to client acquisition, which if you would like to, and again, I'm going to write my book, so I'm going to put more nuances in there. If you would like to know when my book is released and be notified of that, you can, in the link in the description, join my mailing list. I will provide this mind map, the link to that spreadsheet, as well as notify you of the book release, where in there we'll get into client acquisition. And we can discuss in upcoming videos. You can leave a comment at the bottom of this video and we can discuss. Generally, from my experience, it has been through referrals, partnerships, and social media. That's how I've done it. Referrals, partnerships, and social media. You could do it in many other ways. This is the areas that I have the most experience in. I have done a little bit of ads. So I don't consider one way better than another. Choose the way, as we go back to the beginning here, that is your style. Your style is the best style. All right. And so we talked about doing it in combination as well. And generally, I find doing it in a combination kind of way, various different products and services in combination tends to be more easier and flow based for me. And that's how I did it. Because for me personally, by forcing myself to do just one, I limit the scope. Sometimes what happens is you have a prospecting session, and rather than trying to force them, let's say in the software subscription service, they may actually benefit from a consulting service. And it's up to the individual if you want to offer it. I offer it at times. And so I take them on as a client, and I have space for a particular amount of client, and that generates another revenue source. So multiple streams of income. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. As mentioned in the link in the description, you can download a copy of this mind map, the link to the spreadsheet, which will be modifying and updating that spreadsheet over the course, and notified of my upcoming book. Have yourself a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Take care.